Testing. Hey, Chloe. Hey, Cam. Hey, Scott. Hey, Prince. I'm doing okay. Sorry, Chloe. We moved the schedule from Thursday to Sunday. Hey, Abby. Hey, Rose. Rather be here than a smooth rain debating pickles. Oh, is pickles going through some Neanderthals? Hey, our flu. All right, so we're gonna be covering the big beautiful tax bill, aka the big scam. Um, got about 40 minutes to set up. That's good. I'm just gonna make sure I have all my sources ready. Dan wants to sundown JK. Yesterday was dreadful without you, but I was watching Athena, so it was still pretty good. There was a lot of drama going on that I kept trying to jump in and watch, but I felt like I kept missing stuff. Hey, Layla. Bring in the viewers. Okay, where were we at? Howdy ho. Then also gonna TBO Bert. Open the Washington Post article. What tags do you use on your political? I usually use like politics, MAGA, Democrat, Republican, stuff like that. Hey, James. I reported my coworker today because he was so happy about the bill that passed today. What'd you report him for? Making biscuits. Talking politics at work. Hey, Melissa. I'll take two. So I'm trying to figure out what music I can play now that I paid the Monster Cat license. It keeps saying our music library, but it doesn't. They have like 3 different channels. Hey, Neely. Hey, Kilby. Does Lyndon show now? Look at all the biscuits he's making. Sorry, chat. I know this is a little boring. I'm trying to figure out. Is that too loud, chat? What's the volume? Good. As my sister who voted for Trump just said, the economy is getting worse and worse, and I don't know when we'll get out of this. They're becoming self-aware. Okay. Got 30 minutes, so I'm gonna clear up some of my sources. Oh, I never did the pre-show notification. Someone do that. James did it. Thank you, James. We gotta. I'm gonna add to my to-do list the thing we talked about before. What's it called? The auto like notifier thing. I want to see if there's a way to have that auto notify both to like the people that chose the pre-notification thing and then also to everybody. Can't hear you? Do you know she can't hear me? Am I getting trolled? I've come to the conclusion that my brother is MAGA. After him having all the MAGA talking points, I told him he's just a bad person. Sucks. Love the cat chair. That's what the stream needed. Wait, it's like eventually I want to have a cat cam. If I can figure out how to do that. Wait, how long has this been here and I don't use it? Pretty good. What was a bad joke about music volume? Oh. If the kicker keep at the top. We got the resident sleeper. Nick Young. The Obama mic drop. Glad you're enjoying it. Got Mike Tua. Hey, Mariah. What is this one? Oh, that'll never get old. That one. Don't need that. The Luigi. Forgot I had this. Bang, bang. I don't even know when this would come up. but we're keeping it. We got Squidward. Hey, Corky. What is this? Oh, we never used this. We were gonna like put the caption on the executive order with his shit-eating grin. I guess we probably don't need this. Delete. Gone. I haven't seen the Discord in a minute. Are we endorsing 8647? I mean, 86 to me has always meant like cancel or remove. Like when you 86 something off of a restaurant menu. So the people that are trying to make it sound like something else seems a little weird. Hey, Peach. Hey, Epic. BRB is fine. And Chrome, where do we have Chrome? Chrome right over there. That's fine for now. The bar I used to work, we used to 86 with security to remove unruly patrons. Yeah, 86 to me has always meant like remove. And so even if we just ignore the hypocrisy of everything that Trump and his family have said about Biden, even if we ignore it, I still don't think the 86 is a problem. But once we include the hypocrisy and the fact that Trump retweeted the image of like Biden tied up in a trunk and that there were people selling 8646 shirts, like. Are we debating today? I don't even know. Oh no. Well, the thing is, we're gonna go over the tax bill. Going over the tax bill is super important right now. He also retweeted a pic of a judge who ruled against him next to a baseball bat. Love that for us. Should I put this stuff here? Maybe I should put this stuff here. Like the... But then we're going to need to move this. And that looks really sloppy. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I guess my biggest issue with it is it kind of seems like all three pictures are different sizes. I wish they weren't. Yeah, like I kind of look. Hey, Patty. So this caption is not what we're using today. I was just putting it there. Wait. Oh, okay. All right, y'all. I am going to be back, hopefully in time for the live at 8. So y'all are all welcome to watch Lyndon sleep and listen to music. But otherwise, I will see you at 8.
the light show. This might be the night of your life. Welcome to the light show. This might be the night of your life. Welcome to the light show. This might be the night of your life. Welcome to the light show. This gon' be the night of your life. This might be the night of your life. Welcome to the light show. This might be the night of your life. Welcome to the light show. This gon' be the night of your life. This might be the night of your life.
Hey, Kylie. Hey, Ice Cold. Hey, Patty. All right, we're gonna get started. Update. Thank you, Shui. Antifa. Hey. Helium. I think we're ready to start on TikTok. Open it up. Got a couple W's from the Supreme Court today. I haven't seen. Damn, I'm sorry, Cam. And I think my TikTok is doing really well, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. All right, we are officially live on TikTok. Hello? Hey, I just went live. Is it important? Okay, I'll talk later. Bye. Hey everyone. Reading the we're not reading the 1,000-page bill, but we're gonna go over all the important points. Hey, thank you for all the heart me's, everybody. Now 1 second, I gotta connect Angela. Hey Emmy, hey Prince, hey Kay. The big beautiful disaster.
Song goes hard. At Albalian82, yeah, it's a tough one.
Hold on.
Okay, but you need to read it in your Mega Dan voice.
We vibing tonight? I mean, we're gonna be reading legislature, so I don't know about vibing. Dan music is still on. It can be on until we get some people in here. I'm posting a TikTok really quick. I also need to do this. Hold on. Hey everybody. I'm gonna move the like count over. I'm trying to sit in a way where you guys can still see Lyndon. Hey Shauna. Hey Ange. Okay. TikTok posted. Good music today, Dan. Thank you. Hey, Caffeine. All right, we are going to get started. Wait, can you try and go over the tanning bed tax exemption thingy I keep hearing about? We'll probably get there. Okay. Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. No more tax on silencers. Wahoo. Welcome in, everybody. We are going to get started in just 2 minutes. I hope you're all having a good Thursday. You are. It's about to get a little worse as we read this bill. Thank you, Rose, for the greeting heart. I'm starting to think having football coaches as social studies teachers wasn't a good idea. Dan, where have you been? Around, I guess. I moved the schedule to Thursday to Sunday. Okay. So, what we're gonna do. Hey, Tic Tac. You're welcome to join me as we go over the bill if you want. How are you doing? How's Mac? I'm doing well. Mac's doing okay. She may be coming down with a cold, but we'll see. I'm very happy to see you. What are we doing tonight? We are going to be going over the big beautiful scam, aka the GOP tax bill. Yeah, at this point, I'm tired of seeing Trump's BS and it hasn't even been a year. Yeah, I know. Did you see Kobe's live yesterday? I popped in and out. It was interesting. No, I hope she feels better. Thank you, Elsie. Thank you for heart me's, everybody. All right, we're gonna get started. Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. For anybody that sent the gift so far, thank you all so much. But as usual, nobody has to send a gift. Nobody has to sub. The only thing I ask for is if you could just drop a follow. If you do want, if you are forced to send a gift, like your wallet's itching, you need to spend money. The heart me is 1 penny a day, and actually really helps with like the algorithm. So if y'all can send your daily heart me, that'd be much appreciated. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go to the bill. We're gonna read the Washington Post article that goes over every segment of the bill. We're then going to read the Congressional Budget Office's analysis of the bill. And then we're going to go over the major points. Hey, Adela. Thank you for the heart me's, everybody. Tic Tac.
There's a lot. There's a lot to go over. It was a big news day, man. There's a lot happening today.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go for it. Okay. So, everyone, let me know if y'all can see what we're looking at here. So we have 2 letters from the CBO. The one about Pago I'm going to do last because that's super important, but I think it's relevant at the end. And then we're going to go over all the aspects here of the bill. I would go into the bill directly, but how many pages was it? Is it like 1,000 pages, something like that?
Yeah, it was. I think it was like closer to 1,100. It was over 1,100, I believe. It's jumped around. It started at 8, and then like it's depending on how many times it goes back and forth.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just gonna read the article and skip around if it feels verbose. But all right, new tax cuts, massive spending on border security, cuts to social safety nets, and pullbacks on investments to fight climate change. New limits on student loans. This is going to be super important when we get there. If it becomes law, President Donald Trump and congressional Republicans' massive bill will reshape much of the federal government and the U.S. economy. The House narrowly passed the legislation Thursday and sent it to the Senate, where Trump wants lawmakers to advance it as soon as possible, as he put in a social media post. Republicans are trying to move quickly to reverse many of President Joe Biden's legislative accomplishments and cement Trump's legacy in the tax code on the southern border and in generations-old anti-poverty benefits. The House's bill would devote hundreds of billions of dollars to finishing Trump's border wall, fortifying maritime border crossings, outfitting the Defense Department, and more. It would extend the... I love how this stuff has nothing to do with tax policy, by the way, but it would extend the tax cuts that were one of the signature legislative achievements of Trump's first term, create new savings accounts for newborns, and fulfill some, but not all, of the president's campaign promises. As a reminder, the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act made sure to make the individual tax cuts temporary, but the corporate tax cuts permanent. That way, Trump and Republicans could leverage this to another election win, saying, oh, well, if you want them permanent, you got to give us another election win. We got to give us a majority. And here we are now with that, where they're promising to make things permanent that could have been made permanent the first time if they actually cared about individual tax cuts rather than just corporate tax cuts. So, major parts.
I don't know, man. Doesn't this sound like pork?
This part right here about the border wall, yes, it does in fact sound like pork.
Yeah,
100%. This is
like
the stuff
that's what they're always bitching about.
Mm-hmm. They're like, what? Why would there be something related to the wall in the tax bill? Imagine them saying that about this. That's something they'd say if it was a Biden bill, regardless. What was it? The Inflation Reduction Act had tax benefits for climate change. And they lost their minds. They've been bitching about it. Biden's been gone for months, and they still talk about that. Does the tax bill plan help?
Ukraine thing.
And the Ukraine thing, yes, yeah. Even though they separated the Ukraine funding from that bill, and the Ukraine funding passed separately, they still talk about the fact that there was Ukraine funding in the border bill. Okay, so major parts of Trump and Republicans' tax and immigration package. Figures in red represents increase to the national debt over 10 years, and those in teal represents savings. So extending the 2017 Trump tax cuts, $2.2 trillion, increasing the standard deduction, $1.3 trillion. The increase to the standard deduction, by the way, is temporary. I believe it expires in 2028, but we'll get into that later. Increase in child tax credit, also temporary. The only thing so far that's permanent is the extending the 2017 tax cuts. Defense spending. Why is this in a tax bill? I couldn't tell you. 148.5 billion. Border wall and immigration restrictions, 147.3 billion. No tax on overtime, 124 billion. We'll go over the details on that shortly. Senior bonus, this is another temporary thing, as is no tax on overtime. All this stuff expires in 2028. For those that don't know what 2028 is, it is an election year. It is the last year of Trump's presidency. So they kind of don't care what happens after that. They don't actually care about providing you with no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. They just want to give this massive gift to the top 1%. And if you guys feel some fun in the next 3 years and it expires, they really couldn't give a fuck. No tax on car interest loans, 57.7 billion. No tax on tips. Savings accounts for newborns, 17.4. And then we go to the homeschooling and private school tax credit, 2 billion. I haven't even read about that one yet. Cuts to federal. Now, this is going to be the stuff that they cut to balance the budget, quote unquote. Cuts to federal worker protections, 16.1 billion. New oil and gas production, 19.8 billion. New taxes on colleges and universities, 22.6 billion. Spectrum auction. I actually don't know what this is. We'll get to that unless you know, TikTok. 88 billion. Cuts to anti-poverty food assistance. Nearly 300 billion in terms of cuts to SNAP.
That's SNAP. That literally feeds children, you guys.
So for those that are saying, well, the middle class is still getting their tax cut in this right here, the extension of the 2017 tax cuts. Remember, we've gone over the chart numerous times. Over 80% of the tax cuts go to the top 1%. Any tax cut that the middle class is going to experience is going to be absolutely counterbalanced, if not then some, by all of this stuff down here. Not to mention the tariffs, which are a tax on the American people, but that's a whole separate issue. So, cuts to SNAP, student loan changes, nearly 300 billion. For those that don't know what the changes are, we will get into it, but I read into this initially because this was super important to me. They are eliminating subsidized student loans. And what that means is, for those that have ever applied for a student loan or gone to college and been forced to apply for a student loan, as long as you were in college, you weren't paying the interest on your loan. The interest didn't start to kick in until you graduated. They're getting rid of that. They're making it so that if you're in school, they don't care. You're being charged interest. If you don't think this is a punishment to the middle class, then I don't know what to tell you. Then we have rescinding climate change money. We're going to go over this more in depth, but this is nearly $700 billion of tax credits that are gone in terms of fighting climate change. For all the science understanders in chat, you guys know that climate change is not a theory. It is happening. We are long overdue to pass legislation to combat it, and this is going in the opposite direction. Did you say this was on the CBO website? Yeah, so CBO has their preliminary analysis over here. This is on cbo.gov. But this is an analysis through Washington Post that's a little bit more comprehensive, and then we're going to go through the CBO letters. Okay, when I got up, I can move back into my spot. All right. And then finally, cuts to Medicaid. Nearly $800 billion in Medicaid cuts. So we're cutting money from the poorest and most vulnerable among us to give money to the richest among us. Why? Why couldn't they, instead of cutting the $800 billion, why couldn't they just not extend tax cuts for the top 1%? It would have been so easy for them to do that. Okay, so we're going to go through...
We live in a capitalist society, man, and it's not the best for the working class. That's the reality of it.
Hey, Quinn. Yeah. The Republican negotiations over the bill are far from over as it heads to the Senate, where tax writers are eyeing their own policy changes. GOP leaders are using the budget reconciliation process to shepherd the measure. As a reminder, budget reconciliation makes it so that they only need 51 votes in the Senate rather than 60.
Yep.
For anyone that's wondering how it's going to pass the Senate. Which would allow them to dodge the Democratic filibuster in the Senate and pass it on party lines. Trump on Monday broadly embraced the legislation, which he has taken to calling his big, beautiful bill. Okay. Now we're going to go into the details here. Trump's 2017 TCJA cut taxes for individuals and nearly all income levels, concentrating most of the benefits among the wealthiest earners and corporations. The business tax cuts are permanent, but the individual portions expire at the end of the year, meaning that if Congress doesn't act, tax rates will go up on most households. The Republican bill would extend the lower rates for individuals.
Obama.
For 3 more years.
Thank you, Mermaid, for the hand heart.
Those extensions only go to 2028.
Wait, is that true? I was under the impression that the tax cuts extensions were permanent, but every other measure, the Social Security, no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, all of that other stuff is only until 2028. But I was pretty sure this was made permanent.
Permanent on the middle class tax cuts?
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna. It's in the cheat sheet. Okay. Thank you, Neely. Okay. Tax cuts for individuals makes permanent the individual income and estate taxes, estate tax cuts passed in Trump's first term, partially offset lost revenue, repealing or phasing out more quickly the clean energy tax credits passed during Joe Biden's presidency, helping to bring down the overall cost of the tax portion to 3.8 trillion. As remember, the first iteration was 4.5 trillion added to the deficit. So they brought it down to 3.8 trillion added to the deficit. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the only thing made permanent are the individual tax cuts, which, I mean, could have been made permanent in 2017. They just chose not to. But everything else, the boost in standard deduction, the boost in child tax credit, the business tax credits, the SNAP cuts are permanent, I guess. But the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, that's all only 3 years.
Those all expire. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This legislation would preserve that policy and add it to the next 4 years, increasing the deduction by up to $2,000. Oh, sorry, I started this wrong. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act doubled the standard deduction. The baseline amount of income filers can collect tax-free. This legislation would preserve that policy and add it to the next 4 years, increasing the deduction by up to $2,000 for married couples filing jointly and $1,000 for single filers, to $32,000 for couples and $16,000 for individuals. This is going to come into play, chat, when we talk about those tax cuts in regards to no tax on tips, because we've gone over it before, the measures for no tax on tips and how strict it is and how it requires filers to itemize, meaning they forego their standard deduction. So the no tax on tips, we're going to get to it, expires in 3 years. So does the increase in the standard deduction. So during those 3 years, the amount of people that would benefit from foregoing their now increased standard deduction and then itemizing their taxes to collect that small deduction from no tax on tips is getting littler and littler with each new provision. But we'll get there once we get to that section. Cuts to Medicaid. To meet budget goals, Republicans plan to cut Medicaid spending, which could strip coverage from 8.7 million people and lead to 7.6 million more uninsured people over 10 years. This is coming from the Congressional Budget Office analysis, which we'll read that letter in a bit. The legislation calls for new requirements for beneficiaries, including co-pays for those above 100% of the federal poverty level and work requirements for many able-bodied, childless adults. It would tighten eligibility verification rules and limit taxes states charge medical providers as a roundabout way of collecting more federal Medicaid dollars. An amended version of the legislation would also penalize states that provide health coverage to immigrants. As a reminder, the Constitution provides states the ability to legislate any laws that are not outlined in the Constitution, which means this is a violation of the Constitution to punish states for choosing who to provide healthcare for and who not to provide healthcare for. Goes against what's in the Constitution.
States' rights. Goes against states' rights. So, I've told you before, I'm part of the disability community. A lot of the concerns within this community is caregivers. The access to caregivers is being stripped with the cuts in Medicaid. So the people who depend on other people just to survive throughout the day, that stuff's going to be stripped. So we're going to have people who literally can't take care of themselves because of injuries, quadriplegics, things along that lines. A lot of the people in this community, their spouses are their health caregivers, and their spouses receive money from the states to do that work. And that's now going to be stripped.
Yeah, there's there are so many different like subsets of communities in this country that are going to be negatively affected by this bill, and because of how long it is and how comprehensive a lot of this stuff is, it could take weeks for us to even recognize those individual subsets. Yep. The bill quadruples the cap on state and local tax deduction, or SALT, which lets filers write off the amount they pay in local and state taxes from the federal tax bill. 2017 tax law capped SALT deduction at $10,000, but that limit expires at the end of the year. The Republican proposal raises the cap to $40,000. Now, for those that don't know what SALT is and what the major thing it affects is, basically, SALT stands for state and local taxes, which is something that you can deduct from your federal taxes. So when they put that $10,000 cap, it was a big, essentially, punishment to blue states, which have higher property taxes. Property taxes are a big thing that gets deducted from people's federal taxes. So the reason they're raising this cap is because there were a lot of House Republicans in blue states that were like, hey, like, we get that you guys don't like blue states,
but too.
Yeah, we're rich too, exactly. So that's why they raised the cap. Now, I personally I think I'm probably for a cap in general. I think 10,000 is a little too low. Like, for people in California that just own a home, your taxes go up just by owning a home. Your taxes go up because of this. So I don't know what that number would be. Prior to the 10,000 limit, there was no limit. So like, this is something I'm a little bit on the fence for. The cap was very progressive. Okay. Making states pay for SNAP. The legislation would cap future expansion of SNAP, formerly known as food stamps, and pass on more of the cost for administering the program to state governments, potentially forcing local officials to decide whether to cut benefits or dig into state and municipal budgets. 28 states with higher rates of improper payments would be required to shoulder 25% of benefits costs in addition to the 75% of administrative costs. Currently, states only pay half of the program's overhead and do not contribute to benefits. Now remember what, I'm going to go back to our cheat sheet here. The cuts to SNAP, nearly $300 billion. And the idea that it would cap future expansion to make it more difficult for future administrations to increase this.
Put money into it.
It's diabolical.
Yeah.
Like it. Okay.
1 in 5 American children go to bed hungry every night. What do you think cutting $300 billion to the SNAP program is going to do to those numbers?
Yep. The child tax credit is a tax break for filers with children. The Republican measure would increase the credit to $2,500 per child from $2,000, but not every family can qualify. The legislation limits eligibility to parents or guardians with Social Security numbers, essentially requiring those people to be citizens. That would mostly exclude non-citizen parents from claiming the credit on behalf of a child who is a citizen. Now, think about this for a second, chat. The only way that a non-citizen would be able to claim this credit is if they were already paying federal taxes. So we're disincentivizing non-citizens to pay federal taxes by taking away credits that would help them. And if they do pay federal taxes, then we're actually just punishing children. That's what that statement is. It's just punishing children. Oh, I'm sorry, your parents weren't white enough, so you have to be hungry. This is not a check that we send to non-citizen parents. This is a tax credit that comes off of their own taxes. Border wall, other barriers, and immigration restrictions. This right here, pork, right? Tax bill should have nothing to do with the border. The bill designates more than 140. By the way, Mermaid, you're welcome to come up if you'd like to jump in on anything that's in the bill that you want to talk about. The bill designates more than $140 billion for Trump administration's border and immigration crackdown. More than $50 billion of that total would go towards completing the wall along the U.S.-Mexico border and other fortifications, including at maritime crossings. Roughly $45 billion would go to building and maintaining detention centers to house families and deportees, and $14 billion is marked for deportee transportation. So, why?
It's kicking people out.
Why, if we were so concerned about passing this, why didn't we just pass the Langford border bill, which wasn't about taxes, which was about the border?
Because Donald Trump wanted to run on the border.
There
That
it
would have
is.
been a win.
So did you get to touch on the my absolute favorite part, the 2A portion of this, about the
The silencers. Yeah.
SILENCERS?
We have not gotten there yet. We
Oh,
those little
did you
frit.
get to wait. Okay, so wait. You didn't get there.
Mhm.
Did you get to the MAGA child credit bank account that the MAGA account kids are gonna get?
So we got to it in the chart, but we did not get to it detailed. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
Both
the funny
things
thing
that
about
I can't wait for, okay?
yeah, I'll wait on that.
Yeah. No. We're gonna go through this comprehensively because I said this when the bill in 2017 passed. I said this is the greatest transfer of wealth from the lower half to the top 1% in the history of the country. And they said, "Hold my beer." Like this is going to be the new record for the greatest transfer of wealth.
Like, hold my
Uh,
beer.
Absolutely insane. And we were planning on doing debates today, but I needed to go over this. There's too much going on.
No, like this bill actually made me like get into my content bag. I've made a video for TikTok. I'm about to post a Substack, a long form video, because it's just what, like, you're calling this bill beautiful when it's actually brutal to the
Brutal.
American people.
Yeah. You actually reminded me. Play this real.
I'll do the number 7. I'll do the number 7.
Number 11?
7.
Number 11?
7.
Sorry, I can hear you.
It's okay. Number 7.
Okay, number 11.
Anyway.
That was our commercial
That's
break.
spot on. Like, it's spot on.
Yeah, this live is sponsored by Dan
Dystopian, like.
I also, Gwen, thank you so much for the PayPal. I really, really, truly appreciate it. I got you. By the way, I know I said I was going to send this like 3 weeks ago, but I got the card, and I expect something from me soon. Thank you so much, Gwen. Okay, we're gonna keep going.
We should have a live of Dan just going over his videos.
What's funny is like the stuff when I talk about like policy and stuff, it's like whatever. But like when I make like a joke, I'm proud. I gotta play it. We've done that before. Yeah, we have done that before, kind of. Maybe I
What
am.
I
a
was thinking
narcissist.
here was
Where are we? The bill designates more than 140 billion for the Trump administration's border and immigration crackdown. Oh, we read this already. Yeah. New taxes on college and universities. This right here, absolutely insane. And for any tax cut to the middle class that you're claiming, this is going to wipe it out and then some for anyone that goes to college. So the legislation aggressively taxes income generated by the endowments of colleges and universities. Current tax law imposes a 1.4% tax on institutions. This bill creates a new system that would set varying tax rates depending on the size of the endowment per enrolled student. Additionally, this isn't in the Washington Post article, or at least not yet, but they are eliminating. A lot of chat, I know. They're eliminating the subsidized student loan program, meaning that before, where you could wait to pay your interest until after you're out of school, that is no longer the case, and your interest will start to accrue the moment you take out the student loan. Savings accounts for newborns. This was what Mermaid was referring to, I believe. The
yes.
Trump proposal would give,
Yes, the Trump accounts.
The
Yes.
Trump trust plan.
as a reminder, chat. As a reminder, when COVID-19 and the lockdowns and the pandemic was ravaging the economy and millions of Americans didn't have any money to pay for food and they desperately needed a stimulus check, Donald Trump made us all wait an extra week so that he could add his signature to the checks. Do not forget that. But that was in 2020, and we can see it right now with his quote unquote Trump account. The vanity. The proposal would give newborn babies a $1,000 savings account that the legislation calls a Trump account. Previous version dubbed them Money Account for Growth and Advancement, or a MAGA account. Parents or beneficiaries could contribute $5,000 each year to that account until the beneficiary is 31 years old. The idea mirrors a pitch from Democratic Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey for baby bonds.
Yep. I was just gonna say that this plan already existed. It had a name. He literally just wanted to change the name and put it into law under his name.
Yeah, I actually don't mind this this plan.
But
I
to
think
name it MAGA, when you have the negative connotation that is surrounding you, and then also, why would I want you, a 34 count of fraud felon, like, why would I want you
Rapist.
handling any type of money that would have to go to my child when they are of age? In 18 years, you're going to be knee deep in a jail.
Also, to the guy Dan in chat that said a week owe the humanity, Dan, just so we're clear, you are okay with people suffering for an extra week so that Trump's name could be on the check. Can you just say that? Just say yes, I am okay with that. I want to know how deep in his asshole you are. Okay. No tax on tips. All right. This is one of the campaign promises. Trump campaigned heavily on ending taxes on tips, and now that policy is in the bill. Legislation would allow tax deduction for the total amount of tipped income received. It contains some guardrails to prevent highly compensated employees from claiming their earnings as tips, and specifically identifies food service, hair care, nail care, aesthetics, and body and spa treatments as applicable professions to receive eligibility for this deduction. So we're going to go into this more deeply. Theo. So correct me if I'm wrong. The Senate passing the no tax on tips is separate from this measure. Is that right? Or am I mistaken on that? I like how Dark Lord is answering my question. Okay, so the Senate bill.
I'm gonna go with him. Yes, I don't know honestly.
Okay,
I'm not
so
gonna say if I don't know.
To my knowledge, the Senate bill, it only includes cash tips, in which case it's totally irrelevant. Like who, I don't know. Do servers really report their cash tips? But the bill that's the provision that's in this is more comprehensive. But it requires you to, number one, itemize your taxes, your deductions, right? Which means that you forego your standard deduction. Now, what that means is that, so the standard deduction was increased to $16,000 for the next 3 years. Expires in 3 years because Trump leaves in 3 years. Who cares about Americans after those 3 years, right? So the standard deduction increases to $16,000. The no tax on tips provision also expires in 3 years, which, again, that's when Trump leaves office, or that's the last year of Trump's term. So who gives a fuck after Trump's 3 years, right? And so the no tax on tips provision also caps your deduction at $25,000 for an individual. And as a reminder, your standard deduction is going to be $16,000 for an individual. So what this means is, this is the type of person you need to be to benefit from this. You need to be a server in one of these industries. So food service, hair care, nail care, aesthetics, and body and spa treatments. So you have to be one of the people in those industries. You have
Wait,
to
only those?
Yes, for this bill. You have to also not make too much money, right? You have to itemize your tax deductions, which means that, first of all, it's more work. You have to pay. You're probably gonna have to pay a tax attorney, otherwise risk an audit. But more importantly, it means you're foregoing your $16,000 standard deduction. And as an individual, if your standard deduction was 16,000 and your cap on deductions for your tips is 25,000, this campaign promise was no tax on tips, and it went from that to some of you will be able to deduct $9,000. It went from no tax on tips to maybe you can deduct $9,000, and that's if you're an individual. If you're married, let's go back to what the standard deduction is bumping up to. If you're married, the standard deduction is going up to 32,000, meaning that you will not receive a deduction for the no tax on tips provision. It's just a
May I ask
waste
a
of your time.
question?
Yes.
So I just wanted to verify. So they say cash tips, but tips does mean credit, debit, and check, correct?
I don't know. So that's for the Senate bill. We could look at the Senate bill also. I'm just referring to what's in the big beautiful bill. The Senate bill was
Oh, that's because the senators came together and made their own no tax on tips.
yes.
That bill includes credit, debit, and check. But this big beautiful bill, we don't know if this actually you see the difference when people actually put stuff together that they know what they're doing, and then when Donald Trump and his cronies put something together.
Bill. It's a cash tips received by an employee during the course of employment in an occupation that customarily receives tips, and reported by the employee to the employer for the purposes of withholding payroll tax. Okay, so where are we getting the information that cash tips includes credit card tips? Because the actual verbiage says cash.
I think that's the IRS. They label cash tips as credit card.
Because I don't know anybody that claims cash tips. That cash go in their pockets and go to gas.
In the tax code, the term cash tip applies to tips given in bills, coins, on a credit card or debit card or visit. That's really interesting. Yes, it's correct on including. Okay. Well, now we know.
Speaking of coins, and this is a sidebar, the United States Mint just ordered their last order for penny blanks. This is going to be the last making of pennies ever. They're going along with they're doing away with pennies in the country.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a W. I've been calling for that for a while, and I'm
not upset about it.
Rare
It's
Trump
just
W.
Should I keep like a bunch of pennies because like in a few years they're gonna be like worth something? I'll keep like 100 of them, just cash them in like 10 years.
I promise you they'll be worth $1.
Oh no, I'm okay. Never mind.
Okay.
I'm gonna say there is another really quick before we go back to the tax bill. There is another rare Trump W. Now the Trump I'm referring to is not Donald; it's actually Melania, which is the Take It Down Act, which makes it illegal to create deep fake corn of individuals. If I'm remembering correctly, Take It Down Act.
Oh yeah, she did that because of what happened with Poop Poop and the video that they were playing on the Russian media of her.
Well, whatever the reason is, this is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Okay,
he's only doing it because it affects him personally.
Yeah, well, the bill prohibits the online publication of intimate visual depictions of an adult subject where publication is intended to cause or does cause harm to the subject, and where the depiction was published without the subject's consent, or in the case of an authentic depiction, was created or obtained under circumstances where the adult had reasonable expectation of privacy, or a minor subject where publication is intended to abuse or harass the minor or to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of any person. Yeah, we desperately need the law to catch up to technology in regards to AI and deepfakes and stuff like this. So this was definitely a good thing. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the bill. Okay, so even the Senate bill also caps the deduction at 25K. So as a reminder, the standard deduction is going to be 16K for individuals, and you cannot claim the standard deduction if you want to take advantage of the no tax on tips deduction. So if you're an individual, this would mean that you're itemizing your deductions, and maybe you'll have an additional 9K of deductions at the most. But if you're married, you essentially, it's a wash. It makes more sense to just take the standard deduction anyway. Okay.
So I might have missed it. Do they increase the penalties? Like, is it just take it down, or is it like there's actual criminal penalties for this?
Violators
Like
are subject to mandatory restitution and criminal penalties, including prison, a fine, or both. Threats to publish intimate visual depictions of a subject are similarly prohibited under the bill. Yeah, I do believe they increase the penalties.
Just to even threaten it. I like
Thanks,
it.
Obama.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, it's really good. Thank you, Mo, for the sub. Look at mod chat. Okay, hold on.
So all those feet pics I sent to Pickles, he can't repost them?
That's correct.
I'm okay with that. Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna need y'all to tell me what in mod chat I need to be seeing, because there's too much and my brain's not functioning. Another one of Trump's campaign promises: this provision would exempt overtime wages from taxes through a new deduction. The legislation wouldn't allow deduction of overtime wages from tips or for highly compensated employees, and requires filers to use a social security number when claiming the deduction, essentially deeming non-citizens ineligible. No tax on car loan interest. The bill would allow purchasers of American-made cars to deduct up to $10,000 in car loan interest payments for 4 years, an idea Trump talked about on the campaign trail and then returned to as his tariffs began to bite the auto industry. For tax filers earning more than $100,000, the loan interest deduction would decrease to $2,000 for every $1,000 additional income. So if I get double time for my overtime, it doesn't count. I'm not sure. So these are just the general what's it called? The general effects, but we can go into more detail once we get through all of it. Then after 4 years, the 10K would be added back on. No, it's just that this expires after 4 years. Like I think that's what
Most
they're referring
people
to,
get
right?
4 to 5 year loans on cars, so that's what they're.
Okay. All right. A bonus deduction for seniors. Trump promised last year to end taxes on Social Security benefits. The bill doesn't include that provision, but it would add an extra $4,000 to the standard deduction for people over 65 years old. The policy would be in place for 4 years and would taper off as recipients' income increases. So, something about this that I think is super interesting. First of all, again, it's one of the many things that expires at the end of Trump's term, not permanent. But number two, correct me if I'm wrong. This wouldn't affect any senior that isn't filing their taxes, because a lot of seniors just live on Social Security and don't file their taxes. Some extra info on it. A couple sources, Dan. Okay.
Somebody asked that the tax title and interest can be rolled into the loan sometimes, so that's how they do that, Antoine.
I'm not seeing anything more than the article, Neely, there. Billions for defense, including Trump's Golden Dome. Okay, the Golden Dome, y'all.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's wild.
There's roughly
So
150.
essentially, we're gonna have a Patriot missile system.
It's actually insane. For those that don't know about the Golden Dome, the idea is to create something similar to Israel's Iron Dome, which don't think is logistically possible for the United States. But either way.
Israel's Iron Dome is ours, though. Like, that's our Patriot missile defense system. So is this Iron Dome bill outside of the wall, outside of the border bill,
Yes.
or is this tied together? Oh, jeez. Okay. I was kind of thinking that it was tied in with that, but
There is roughly $150 billion in the bill for the Defense Department, spread over a number of priorities. $34 billion for the munition and defense supply chain, $33.6 billion for shipbuilding, and $20 billion for missile defense and space capabilities. That's partially for Trump's Golden Dome continental missile defense system. This spending would increase when the measure gets to the Senate. The upper chamber aims to spend more on defense than the House. Oh, love that.
jeez.
Repeal Biden student loan forgiveness. This legislation would save $295 billion over 10 years by repealing the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness program and making other changes to loan repayments. Who is this helping, chat? Who does this help?
Banks.
Absolutely no one but like banks and the ultra rich. And I'm not understanding like I think they think that majority of Americans are senile and don't understand what's actually happening here, but like attacking at like getting a higher education is absolutely insane.
Well,
Helps
that's
offset
what they're
their-
doing. They're attacking the education system, and I've got stories on that against Harvard today. I wanted to go back real quick though to the Golden Dome thing. Don't we already have something like that? Like I've always been under the impression if somebody shoots something to us, we'll knock it down out of the sky before it even comes close. Is that not a capability that we already have?
I do believe it's a capability we have, but I think this is this is something more. What's the word here? Comprehensive, I guess. We could do a deep dive into that after we go through all this, but
Okay.
it is, but also very limited. Yeah. Tax credits for homeschooling or private school. The bill includes up to $5 billion per year for 4 years in tax credits that benefit people who donate to organizations that help families pay for private school tuition or homeschooling. It would create a 100% tax credit for donations to scholarship granting organizations, with taxpayers fully reimbursed for their donations when they file their taxes. The program would be capped at $5 billion in the first 4 years and grow modestly each subsequent year if there is a sufficient demand. Under the proposal, families earning up to 3 times their area median income would qualify for vouchers. Wait. That's more than $450,000 per year in Washington, D.C., or more than $270,000 in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Wait, I'm confused as to wait. I'm confused as to what this is. Is this
This is
Attack
essentially
on the education system.
get tax credits
if
for
you
rich people to send their kids to private school. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
because
send them a
because
rich-
like I've always thought about like oh, wait, go ahead, TikTok. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. You've
Yeah.
got red bars though.
Wait, it might be me. Hold on one second.
Yeah. I think we're. Yeah, so it's not only an attack, or well, it is. It's an attack on the education system, but not just to hold up the private school systems, which are typically religious school systems, but it also gives incentives for the middle class for the wife to stay home and teach the kids in homeschooling. That's what this is aiming to do. So MAGA is going to be teaching their kids. In other words, like I do understand that they have curriculums that they have to go through, but the thing is, if the teacher's not smart enough to understand the curriculum, what's going to happen to the student?
I mean, it's a further attack on education in this country. Mermaid DC'd.
Yeah,
Okay,
teaching the
GOP
kids
voucher
dinosaurs don't exist. Sorry.
GOP voucher plan would divert billions in taxes to private schools. Donations to scholarship programs would be fully reimbursed through new tax credit. creating the largest federal tax incentive for charitable giving. The school voucher movement has scored victories in conservative states in a quest to send public dollars to private schools with tax money following the child. Now backers see their best chance yet to go national. Congressional Republicans backed by the White House are pushing for a new tax credit that would direct billions of dollars a year to school voucher programs, and not just in conservative states. The program would be fueled by a powerful, never-before-tried incentive. Taxpayers who donate to voucher programs would get 100% of their money back when they file their taxes. That means that the tax break for giving to a voucher program would dwarf tax incentives for giving to churches, hospitals, food banks, and every other charity. So we are disincentivizing giving to the people that need it in order to fund private schools. Taxpayers who donate to other charities might qualify for a tax deduction, meaning they would not pay taxes on the dollars they contribute, but donors to voucher programs would get a dollar-for-dollar tax credit, meaning they could subtract the full value of the donation from their bottom line tax liability. This is super important. The goal is to give more families more options for their children's education. Too many children, supporters say, are stuck in public schools that do not serve them well but cannot afford other options. A federal program would give more children in more states the opportunity to make a different choice for their education. The tax credit, they say, would encourage and allow taxpayers who want to help to do so. Wouldn't it be better to just use some of this taxpayer money to better fund those public schools?
You mean indoctrination stations? Sorry, I was making a bad joke.
Okay. Rescind money to fight climate change. The proposal would gut elements of Biden's signature 2022 climate law, the Inflation Reduction Act. It would eliminate a federal credit up to $7,500 that consumers can receive for buying an electric vehicle. So, this is not a credit that companies receive. It's a credit that consumers receive for buying an electric vehicle. We're just getting rid of that credit. Now, we're going to get to it later, but we're adding credits for tanning beds, but getting rid of credits for electric vehicles. Republicans are also seeking to phase out incentives for production of clean energy, such as wind and solar power. New gas and oil production. The Natural Resources Committee expects to collect roughly $20 billion by mandating new oil and gas lease sales in the Gulf of Mexico and in protected Alaskan wildlands. There is some dispute about whether that language can stay in the bill, though, because it may run afoul of strict rules that govern the reconciliation process in the Senate. Okay, this one I did not know anything about. The electromagnetic spectrum is necessary for everything from wireless technologies to military communications and radars. The legislation would renew the FCC's authority to auction off bands of the spectrum that the Congressional Budget Office says could bring in $88 billion over 10 years. This sounds...
We're selling off our radio waves to private companies?
Private companies, yeah.
Like, we already do that, but the FCC has complete control over like what actually gets out there. Now they won't have that? I don't know. I don't know what that means, honestly.
I mean, we already saw the FCC.
I know it's going to control the public, but
it's all the privatization of stuff like this. It's all in Project 2025. Less power to the government, more power to big corporations. Cut protections for federal workers. The Oversight and Government Reform Committee's provisions in the bill would slash benefits and protections for government workers. One major section would force new federal employees to choose between accepting an at-will classification that would make it easier to be fired or putting more of their salary toward retirement. I'm going to read this one again.
that's extortion. Wait. Yeah, do that again?
Yeah. One major section would force new federal employees to choose between accepting an at-will classification that would make it easier to be fired, aka Schedule F classification, or putting more of their salary towards their retirement. So essentially, you're getting hired, and you're like, hey, listen, you have two options. You either have this amount of money go to your retirement, or, but we can fire you for whatever, even if it means just you not liking Donald Trump, or you
join
can
a
be
union.
hired like a regular American, but we are going to put less into your retirement. It's literally blackmail.
No, they're saying if you join a union, you'll make less in retirement. That's my understanding of it. They're trying to prevent federal workers from joining unions.
Well, yeah, because a union would help protect against the classification that would make it easier to retire. Because I believe the classification they're referring to is Schedule F, the classification that essentially makes it so that you can be fired just for disagreeing with the president, which was never the case prior to Donald Trump.
Right to work, right? It's a right to work, and that's one thing that they've always done. So I grew up in a right to work state, which is Arizona, and it was always like the my understanding of right to work was if you don't want to do this, get the hell out of here. Somebody else will. There's nothing that prevents me from firing you, which is true to an extent, but that's not really what right to work means. Right to work literally just gives you the right to join a union or not.
Raise the debt ceiling. Well, of course, we're going to raise the debt ceiling. Debt ceiling sets the amount of money the federal government can borrow to pay for expenses already incurred. The government technically eclipsed the limit at the end of 2024, but the Treasury Department is taking extraordinary measures to put off the need to take on more debt. But those measures will expire sometime in August, the Treasury Department said Friday. The House bill would raise the debt limit by $4 trillion. Remember, Republicans are for balancing the budget, therefore fiscal responsibility, and yet we're raising the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. Okay, we're gonna read the
All to the rich.
We're gonna read the congressional budget analysis, and then we're gonna read. This is something that I think is gonna fly under the radar, and I'm gonna make sure that it doesn't. The second letter from the Congressional Budget Office about cuts to Medicare. We're already talking about cuts of Medicaid and SNAP, but the cuts to Medicare, and you guys will see what I mean in a few minutes. Okay, so this letter responds to your request for an analysis of the distributional of the distributional effects of the 2025 reconciliation bill. The Congressional Budget Office and the staff of the Joint Committee on Taxation have recently estimated the budgetary effects of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act as ordered, reported by the House Committee on the budget on May 18th. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. The total effects reported in this analysis for 2026 to 2034 period include the following. Remember, we always analyze bills like this in a 10-year period. Well, I guess this is an 8-year period, but the bill's passing in 2025, and then an increase in the federal deficit of $3.8 trillion attributable to tax changes, including extending the provisions of the 2017 Tax Act, which includes revenues and outlays for the refundable credits. $698 billion less in federal subsidies for changes to the Medicaid program. $267 billion less in federal spending for SNAP. $64 billion less in spending on net for all other purposes. That includes increases in outlays for defense, immigration enforcement, and homeland security. Those are offset by reductions in federal pensions, receipts from spectrum auctions, and changes in receipts and outlays associated with changes to the emissions regulations. $78 billion in additional state spending on net, accounting for changes in state contributions to SNAP and Medicaid, and for the state tax and spending policies necessary to finance additional spending. CBO estimates that the budgetary effects of the legislation would affect household resources via several channels or categories. Federal taxes and cash transfers. Household resources would mainly be affected by changes to tax policy, especially extensions of the provisions of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and reductions in subsidies for health insurance under the Affordable Care Act. This is an important one we haven't gone over yet. Household resources would primarily be affected by increases in federal spending on benefits provided through Medicaid and SNAP. Potential tax and spending changes by states to finance state contributions to in-kind benefits would affect household resources. An area of ongoing analysis involves CBO's expectations of the state's responses to changes in federal spending, and then all outlays other than transfers are allocated as if they were public goods. CBO estimates that household resources would decrease by an amount equal to about 2% of income in the lowest decile, the lowest tenth of income distribution in 2027, and 4% in 2033, mainly as a result of losses of in-kind transfers such as Medicaid and SNAP. So this right here is what we're talking about when we talk about comprehensive analysis. Whenever MAGA comes in here and says the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act cut taxes for all income brackets, it doesn't factor in the entire verbiage of the bill. And so in this bill, even though we're extending the 2017 tax cuts, lower and middle class people are still going to end out behind the starting line because of the other provisions. This is what's called taking a comprehensive look, a nuanced analysis of what's going on here. And I think they go over this in a chart right here. Yeah. Changes in household resources as a percentage of income under current law for the lowest and highest income deciles. So this is just the years 2027, 20. So every 2 years, right? For the lowest decile, this is the poorest among us, are going to see minus 2% and then minus 4% in resources. Whereas the highest decile, the richest tenth, are going to see increases. Shouldn't this be the opposite? Shouldn't this be the opposite, where we're trying to balance the scales? Howdy, Homac. For this analysis, changes in taxes are based on estimates done by JCT staff. Changes to Medicaid were allocated to programs participants who would lose benefits and to healthcare providers who would provide care at lower cost to people without publicly subsidized healthcare and who would thus lose income. Changes to SNAP were allocated to program participants. All other changes were allocated as if they were public goods. That is, equally in proportion to each household's share of the population and its share of total income. The distributional estimates also reflect the effect of states' responses to federal policy. For SNAP in particular, CBO accounted both for increases in spending on benefits resulting from matching requirements under the legislation and for decreases to household income attributable to the tax and spending mechanisms used by states to finance those additional payments. So essentially, this is just explaining where they got their numbers, how they did their analysis. For certain things, they did the analysis per income group, whereas the other things they put it towards the entire population being affected and divided it by the number of taxpayers. So and they have obviously their sources at the bottom. Okay, so that's the first CBO analysis. This is the one that I feel like nobody is talking about, and we really should be talking about. So first of all, we need to discuss PAYGO. The Pay-As-You-Go Act, which is usually referred to as PAYGO, was passed in 2010. Okay, and it's going to talk about that here. Today, the CBO transmitted an estimate of the budgetary effects of the 2025 reconciliation bill. We just looked at that. The letter responds to your questions concerning the sequestration, and thankfully they define that here, the cancellation of budgetary resources in accordance with the statutory Pay-As-You-Go Act of 2010, more commonly known as PAYGO. That would occur if the enacted bill raises deficits by $2.3 trillion over 10 years. Under PAYGO, the Office of Management and Budget is required to maintain 5 and 10-year scorecards that it updates with estimated cumulative changes in revenues and outlays generated by newly enacted legislation. If either scorecard indicates a net increase in the deficit, OMB is required to order a sequestration to eliminate the overage. Reminder, sequestration means the cancellation of budgetary resources. To eliminate the overage. The balance used to determine the amount of sequestration is not the projected increase in the deficit for the particular year. Rather, OMB's 5 10-year scorecards identify the average annual effect of the piece of legislation over those periods and assign the average to each year in the period. Before an average is calculated and any current year effects are combined with those of the budget year. I'm going to give a layman's at the end here. With the enactment of the legislation that increases deficits by $2.3 trillion over 2025 to 2034 period trigger sequestration. Yes, in accordance with PAYGO, OMB would record the average increases in deficits over the period, in this case $230 billion each year on the PAYGO scorecard. Without enactment of the subsequent legislation that would offset the deficit increase, waive the recordation of the bill's effects on the scorecard, or otherwise mitigate or eliminate the statutory requirements, OMB would be required to issue sequestration order not more than 14 days after the end of the session of Congress to reduce spending by $230 billion in the fiscal year of 2026, or by a larger amount if the 5-year average increases the deficits in greater than the 10-year average. So what this means is, I know it's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. PAYGO makes it so that if the deficit increases by X amount as determined by the scorecard, it requires the Office of Management and Budget to cut mandatory spending to offset that deficit increase. Mandatory spending includes Medicare, and we're going to go over that right here. Now, what they say when they say without enactment of subsequent legislation that would either offset deficit increase, waive the recordation, basically they're saying if no bill is passed to change this in some way. How would sequestration affect Medicare and other programs, assuming that the funding subject to sequestration remained equal to the amounts of CBO's January 2025 baseline projections? Under PAYGO, reductions in Medicare spending are limited to 4%, or an estimated $45 billion for the fiscal year of 2026. That would leave $185 billion to be sequestered from the federal budget's remaining direct spending accounts in that year. PAYGO exempts many large accounts, including those that provide funding for Social Security and low-income programs. Therefore, in CBO's estimation, OMB would have roughly $120 billion in budgetary resources available for cancellation in 2026, less than the remaining amount that would be required to be sequestered. How would Medicare be affected after 2026? The 4% maximum reduction in Medicare spending would apply to the sequestration orders for the years after 2026. If OMB ordered sequestration for $230 billion for each year through 2034, the ordered reductions in Medicare spending would increase to about $75 billion in 2034 and would be total roughly $490 billion over 2027 to 2034. So, if nothing is changed in this bill, and if nothing is changed once the PAYGO scorecard comes through, we can see a $490 billion cut to Medicare due to this this tax legislation. I'm going to take some water.
Take a breath too, man. That was a lot. That was a lot. I'm actually gonna bounce out. I appreciate you having me up here. I'm gonna be in the comments listening, but I got a house full right now, so we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for having me up.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. Appreciate you. Rose, thank you for the Dizzy Bird. So stuff like this is super important because what you're gonna hear from defenders of this bill, what you're gonna hear from Trump ass lickers, right? What you're gonna hear from MAGA and Republicans is that nothing in the big beautiful bill mentions cuts to Medicare. That's what you're gonna hear. But when you read between the lines and recognize that, okay, well, there is a law called PAYGO that requires us to cut mandatory spending if the deficit increases by this amount, and this bill already has the deficit increasing by that amount. Like, it's just putting 2 and 2 together to equal 4. It's something that Republicans have found a lot of success in, which is just making things sound super simple, right? And then a tiny bit of analysis shows that it's a big scam. But tiny bit of analysis is more than a lot of these people can do. I'm going to be screaming this from the rooftops until something changes about this bill, because this is the type of thing that will go under the radar if we don't talk about it. After accounting for the reduction in Medicare spending, the required reduction in spending for other programs would exceed the estimated amount of resources available to those programs in each year over the 2027 to 2034 period. If OMB sequestered all the funding for those programs, the total amounts would be less than the reductions required. So what this is stating is that other programs that are not Medicare would literally lose all of their funding, and it still would not make up the amount required by PAYGO. Put up this chart again for everybody. This is the changes in household resources for the lowest 10% of Americans and the highest 10% of Americans due to this bill. The lowest 10% are going to be losing money. Highest 10% are going to be gaining money. If you think that's okay, then I'm begging you to remove the boot from your throat, go outside, touch some grass, and remember that it is completely optional to simp for billionaires. You can actually vote in your own best interest. Now, if there are any Trump supporters that think that this is a good bill, you're welcome to request up, and we can talk about it. I'm going to read some comments now. Is it true the no tax on tips is only for the end of your year filing as a deduction? Yes, that is true. I'm sure they're going to cancel the Medicare savings plan, which covers their Part B premium. Don't listen to MAGA. These are the same people who kept saying he's not cutting Medicaid and Medicare. But if I don't simp for billionaires now, how else am I supposed to become one myself? And that's not including the increased prices from tariffs, correct? Yes, none of that analysis includes the tariff increases. That's a whole other. If we want to look at tariff increases, hold on. Then it gets even worse. The distributional analysis with the tariffs gets really bad. Oh, the only people benefiting after tariffs are included are the top 5%. Rent better go down. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Getting rid of subsidized loans is so bad for young people, bro. Yeah, it disincentivizes going to college in the first place, which means a less educated electorate, which means more Republican voters. Like, it's all. Was anyone reporting their tips to begin with? Well, okay, so I believe we learned that your this will include credit card tips. The problem, though, is that it forces you to itemize your deductions, which means you can't take the standard deduction, and it caps the tax credit at $25K. So at best, because the standard deduction was $16K, at best you're only going to see a $9K tax credit, and that also involves you itemizing your deductions, which is going to cost you more to file your taxes, and all of this expires in 3 years anyway, because Trump doesn't give a fuck after he leaves office.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, I don't support the bill. You said anyone who supports the bill, anyone who supports Trump. Not that guy. Okay. One thing I didn't hear you mention, which is horrible. The bill, maybe you mentioned it, but the bill also bans coverage of transgender care in Obamacare, right? That's horrible, but it does not prohibit the coverage for detransition. So it's just totally evil. Totally, like my trans friends are freaking out about this, and I'm just heartbroken. I don't know what to do about this. This is totally awful. That's one thing. Second thing, minor, but you and TikTok, you went over the firing thing with the pension. I think you made it sound like either they accept the getting fired easier or their pensions get funded less. That's not how I read it. It said either you accept the firing Schedule F thing, or more of your salary goes to your pension, so you get less of it right now. That's what I read it as, maybe.
Let me see. Maybe you're right. Back up here.
It was the one before the last.
or last. Okay. One major section would force new federal employees to choose between accepting an at-will classification that would make it easier to be fired or putting more of their salary towards retirement.
It's like either you get fired easierly,
I see what you're saying.
or yeah, that's what I read it as. Either
Still,
way, it's coercive. Like why?
yeah,
Just
still like blackmail, but I get what you're saying,
yeah, it's stupid.
and I
Another
appreciate
thing
I
is,
appreciate the clarification.
yeah, no problem. Another thing is on the no tax on tips thing. No, I don't think it does cap it to like 9,000. I get what you're saying, right? Like, okay, you get the standard deduction of 16,000. But if you want, you have the tips, you can itemize them. It's only if it's above 16,000, and it's at most 25. So the 9 can. But look, you have other deductions you can do. It's not just like one deduction.
No, you're right. But most Americans don't even come close. If they itemize their deductions, most Americans wouldn't come close to 16,000.
Okay, yeah, I probably agree. I need to make sure the numbers are right, but probably, maybe, yeah. I don't think I have anything else other than like maybe we disagree on the value judgments. So like I think the salt cap, even at 10K, was like really good. It does affect blue states more, but it's because blue states are richer. Okay, so it was really progressive because only rich people use the itemized deductions with the salt tax, also the MID mortgage interest deduction.
Yeah,
but it affects the blue states because they're richer. I mean, it's highly progressive. Anything highly progressive will affect
I
the blue
think
states.
so. I would be much cooler with it if there was one more means test in it. So like I get that the blue states are richer, but just owning a house with a mortgage in California does not mean you're rich. But you are now paying more in tax than you would have without it. I think it should. I think it should. If we want a progressive cap on salt, then it should also means test for how much you're making.
Maybe I don't deductions that are there deductions that like apply with your income? Sounds complicated.
Yeah, the I think the child tax credit
Oh,
might.
yeah. Yeah. So either way, yeah, maybe. I just thought overall, if like I had to choose between no like TCJA salt cap or like keep everything or do it, I would do it like any day of the week. But whatever. So there's that. Also, I mean, I don't know. Maybe read a quick article on the banning the coverage for transgender care because that's really freaking me out. Like I have friends that depend on this. Like I don't know what to do, but whatever. I don't know anymore. What a mess. Either way.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that weren't in that comprehensive article. So like the tax deduction for tanning salons wasn't in there that we can go into. I didn't see the. So let me look at the gender care.
Oh, another thing. Just I'm wondering. Maybe I'm like maybe I'm dumb, but it's big beautiful bill, right? BBB. That's what Biden tried to pass with the Build
Build
Back,
Back
Better.
Better.
Bill. Is that intentional? I don't know. I don't know. Is that like an intentional like FU to Biden? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Regardless, I don't know. But yeah, this bill does like ban protection of transgender care under Obamacare, which just
Okay. Yeah, if someone can send me the a source on that, I'm happy to review it.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah, I can.
Okay, perfect.
I'll send you where in the Discord. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Either way, any MAGA people in the audience join because this is indefensible. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay. So someone asked about the tanning salon thing. All right. One proposal calls for repealing the excise tax on indoor tanning services, which was originally implemented to help fund the ACA and discourage use of indoor tanning. Under the current law, indoor tanning services are defined as any service using equipment that incorporates ultraviolet lamps intended for skin tanning. 10% excise tax is applied to the total cost of these services. If the proposed legislation passes, the repeal will take effect immediately upon enactment.
Hi. Another section. If you can pull the bill up, we kind of talked about this the other night. It's section 7302. It's on page 562 of the bill.
All right, hang on.
It's going to be restriction of funds is the title.
Okay. No court of the United States actually show chat here.
The implications of this are major.
No court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction. Oh, I already see where this is going. For
Yep.
failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order if no security was given when the injunction or order was issued pursuant to Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 65C, whether issued prior to, on, or subsequent to the date of the enactment of the section.
Which will become retroactive. So essentially, he's going to stop the states who are filing all these injunctions right now on deportation, the loans, all of these injunctions that are currently in the court. Like for example, California, they appropriated $40 million to continue to fight him on this stuff. Legalize abortion. Any state funds are no longer eligible. Federal funds are no longer eligible. So if your state is currently fighting some of this abortion ban stuff, they're not going to be able to use the funds that have been set aside for that moving forward.
Yeah.
And if they put him in contempt of court, nobody can use any funds to file. Like he there's no repercussion at that point. You can't even put him in contempt. All these restraining orders that are being filed stopping him from doing all this, someone's paying for those, and it's mostly the states. If we can't use those funds, who's doing it?
No one is the answer.
Yep. There's not a lot of people talking about this right now, and it's kind of there's
It's
so
1,000
much in it.
pages.
There's so much in it. But this has been a lot, and a lot of the legal communities that I'm in, they've been talking about the previous Budget Act. It's like the 1970 Budget Act or something. It was supposed to protect this. We've just circumvented all that and put it in a tax bill that is going to become law for the next 10 years. So I really encourage people to call your representatives. I don't know what's left to do about this, but this is kind of catastrophic. If we can't fight back against him or can't use money to fight back against him, what are we supposed to do?
Okay, some people in chat are asking for a layman explanation. I'm gonna give it to the best of my abilities, and Ange, correct me if I'm wrong about anything.
Please.
So, what this is saying is that the U.S. can't use any funds to enforce an injunction by a court. So,
Appropriated funds. So like if they put money aside for if your state has voted to put money aside or your governors have put money aside to fight these things, it's been appropriated for that fight. They can't use it anymore.
well, wouldn't all funds be appropriated? Like, I
All
feel like
budgets, all state budgets are appropriated, so it's pretty
yeah,
much all state money in the end.
yeah. So what this means is, so like for example, when states are filing an injunction to prevent the unlawful deportation of people that are here lawfully, or people that are protected, sanctuary cities. That's another good example. It's saying that you can't actually enforce any of these injunctions, even if a court rules that there's an injunction against deporting a certain person or a certain group of people. You can't actually enforce it with any kind of appropriated funds.
So we have something called the Bird Rule in the Senate. It allows for any senator or representative to invoke the bill. The bill says that you can't add tangible things, tangible materials into budget reconciliations or any kind of budgetary stuff. This would be considered tangible in a sense. So someone needs to enact the bird bill or the bird rule, and nobody did. So I don't know how this goes moving forward, if they still can. It's part of that was what I was saying earlier about the 1970s Budget Act. This is all part of it.
Hmm.
Nobody's enacted it. Nobody brought it up. I don't know why nobody's covering this. I didn't even know it was in the bill. It's stuck in the back of the bill, mixed in with stuff that nobody read. But call your representatives. Someone can invoke this rule, and I don't know what else we do besides that. So mention the bird bill or the bird rule. But that's it. I don't know. This one got me. I mean, all of them got me, but this strips us of so much power and the states have so much power. We want to give all this control back to the states, but now we're saying, you know what? No, we're going to make the rules. And then when you tell us you want to fight that rule, we're going to take that fight away from you.
Yeah.
There's nothing you do about it.
Yeah. All right, Ange. Thank you so much for
All
coming on.
right. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so we're gonna read an article real quick here about a lot of the random things that are tucked into this bill. When House Republicans passed Trump's sweeping domestic policy package in the wee hours of Thursday, they didn't just approve giving trillions of dollars in tax cuts to rich people while kicking down millions of poor people. They made it easier to get gun silencers and quickly removed a weird provision about tanning beds and expanded a ban on gender-affirming care. And in a show of fealty to the president, they came up with a new name for tax savings accounts that the government would seed with $1,000 for babies born in the next few years. Trump accounts. There was already a lot going on in the GOP's 1,100-page bill, which is actually called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. But things got confusing late Wednesday when Republicans unveiled a 42-page amendment with all kinds of 11th-hour changes. They released their new language as the House Rules Committee was entering its 20th hour of a hearing on the bill, and Democrats barely had time to make sense of these changes. In order to win over the vote of Rep. Andrew Clyde, a member of the far-right House Freedom Caucus, GOP leaders slipped language into a bill making it easier for people to buy gun silencers. Specifically, the bill eliminates a $200 firearm registration fee for silencers and removes a requirement that people have to register their silencers at all. Who are you representing, bro, when this is the provision that you need to get your yes vote? Like, what the actual fuck? During the late night Rules Committee hearing, Rep. Mary Gay Scanlon howled about this magical amendment suddenly being a part of the bill. She noted the federal tax on gun silencers has been in place since 1934. What do we need gun silencers for, by the way? Can anyone tell me what we need these for? Who needs gun silencers? Less ear damage on unprotected ears.
Obama.
It's a brazen attempt to make it easier to commit violent crimes, says Scanlon as she unsuccessfully tried to strip it from the bill. I think this is sneaky. I think it's a radical policy change with no explanation for why this longstanding federal policy would be overturned in the middle of the night. Yes, Ariel, I am having a better day. Thank you, Miss Sunflower, for the hand heart. Rep. Jim McGovern, the top Democrat on the rules panel, ripped Republicans for slipping the unrelated gun provision into their tax bill. Quite frankly, what is in this reconciliation bill, does more to support assassins than does American families. Literally. When a Republican on the committee laughed him off, the Massachusetts Democrat fired back, you know what? Talk to law enforcement. Talk to people who have been victims of gun violence. I know you think it's funny, but I don't. Axing and then keeping a tax on tanning beds. For some reason, Republicans initially included language in the bill to repeal a federal excise tax on indoor tanning services, but it appears they were shamed into taking it out last minute. Rep. Teresa Fernandez flagged the provision in Wednesday's Rules Committee hearing and asked Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith, who was testifying before the committee, to read the line item out loud. He refused. I saw this clip, actually. So that's the American public. So that the American public knows what the bill does, would you read page 901, line 20? I think it'd be better if you read it. Oh, he doesn't want to read it. This is in their bill. They don't want to read a line from their own bill. Rep. Moore eventually read the provision out loud. It says, Section 11106, repeal the excise tax on indoor tanning services. Amid more laughs, Fernandez contrasted the provision, which makes it easier to own a tanning bed. Sorry, y'all. TikTok doesn't think I'm a real person. Makes it easier to own a tanning bed with the bill's drastic cuts to Medicaid and food assistance. She took a shot at Trump's tanning habits, and wondered aloud if he put that language in the bill. There are certain elected officials who appear to have a certain orange hue about them, she said. Maybe they want to make sure tanning beds get a little bit of a special credit. The tanning bed provision was mysteriously gone in the final bill. Expanding a ban on gender-affirming care. Or I think this is what Sample Text was talking about. An eagle-eyed reporter first flagged a slight change in wording in the final bill that significantly expanded a ban on using Medicaid or CHIP funding for gender-affirming care. The GOP bill initially imposed this prohibition on minors, but its final language appears to ban anyone relying on these programs. The House Republican budget bill passed this morning shows that anti-trans policies remain a top priority for both the party and the Trump administration, said Imara Jones, CEO of Translash Media. Emmanuel, thank you for the $5. What a lot of people don't realize is conservatives create crime to feed the industrial private prison complex. Reason why they attack middle/poor communities' resources, increase prison capacity, and push for crime bills since the Nixon era, then run on tough on crime. I can't contest that. Like you're right. A big thing about Republican policy is fear, and so when you decrease the quality of life for the lower class, right? That is going to lead to an increase of crime, and then they can run on being tough on crime. The fact that they are willing to ban federally funded healthcare for trans people of all ages, including adults on Medicaid and children enrolled in CHIP, shows that the goal all along has been to push trans people from public life. Period. They used to say, right? They used to say, oh, this is just about protecting children. This is just about not indoctrinating children or whatever. But then including adults means that it's just about they hate trans people. Just say it. I don't know why they don't just say it with their chest. Creating Trump accounts for new babies. The GOP bill creates a new incentive for women to make more babies by paying them $1,000 for every American baby born over the next 4 years. For babies born between January 1st and January 1st, 2025 and 2029, the federal government would deposit $1,000 into an account called a Trump account. That money would be then invested on their behalf in financial markets, and when the baby grows up, he or she can withdraw from their Trump account for things like going to college or buying a house. The kids' parents can also contribute to the account. So I'm going to be 100% honest here. I don't think that this is a bad policy. I think naming it the Trump account is so fucking vain and disingenuous that it almost stains the policy. It's not a Trump policy. Oh yes, this is proposed by Senator Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey. Oh, and yes, it also doesn't apply to American citizen children if their parents are non-citizens. The GOP decided this money would be deposited into something called a money account for growth and advancement account, or MAGA account, but that didn't seem sufficiently suck up. That didn't seem to sufficiently suck up to Trump enough. So at the 11th hour, they renamed these accounts after him. Does the 1K build interest over time? So it says that they're investing it into financial markets, so it should theoretically, assuming that it's not being invested by 6-time bankrupt businessmen, it should include increases to that amount. Reversing course on selling public lands in Utah and Nevada. In a rare win for people who care about the environment, Republicans removed language from the final bill that would have allowed for the sale of public lands in Nevada and Utah. Rep. Ryan Zinke, who served as Trump's Interior Secretary in his first term, had threatened to vote against the bill unless the language was stripped. I thought it was going to be 5K. The 5K is the child tax credit, which I think is not 5K, actually. They've lowered it. Go to my cheat sheet here. Yeah, so the promise was that it was going to be 5K, but it looks like it's only going to be 2,500. And that's only until 2028, and then it goes back down to 2,000. Kamala promised 600 for newborn babies, by the way. 6,000, excuse me, for newborn babies. Do you have this cheat sheet somewhere I can access? Neely, I don't know if you can edit this to where we can post it in the Discord. Like, I don't know what the privacy metrics are on this. Okay, yeah. Neely, by the way, is the one that made the cheat sheet, so get some W Neelys in the chat. Where were we? Okay, so far it looks like they wanted to include a tax cut for, they wanted to get rid of a tax on tanning services, but they were bullied into taking that out. And they also wanted to be able to sell public land in Nevada and Utah, but they were bullied into taking that out. So those are two things that are no longer in the final bill. Closing up to 1/3 of Planned Parenthood's health centers. The final bill could result in the closure of as many as 200 Planned Parenthood health centers, or 1/3 of all these health centers nationwide. These closures would come as a result of the bill's new ban on gender-affirming care for all Medicaid patients and its provisions aimed at eliminating health plans that include abortion coverage from the ACA marketplace. The consequences of these health centers closing would be catastrophic, said the president of Planned Parenthood. If Congress passes its reconciliation bill as written, an estimated 200 Planned Parenthood health centers could close, leaving entire communities and regions without access to essential health care. Cancers will go undetected, birth control will be harder to get, and the public health infrastructure, already pushed to the brink, will break down. Instead of actually helping their constituents, politicians want to stop them from getting care at Planned Parenthood health centers and impose their belief on everyone else. A quietly removed provision to let Trump operate as king. I'm pretty sure this is what Ange just showed us. No court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order if no security was given when the injunction or order was issued. Translated, this provision would strip all federal courts, including the Supreme Court, of the ability to hold Trump or his members or his administration members in contempt of court. Not only would this violate the Constitution, but its timing is eerie as Trump has been flouting an order by the Supreme Court to facilitate the return of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. We've talked about this case a lot on this live. A legal U.S. resident who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. The administration has also been ignoring orders from lower courts to stop deporting migrants without giving them due process. It's not clear which Republican put this language into the bill in the first place, but it was curiously stripped out of the final bill. Oh, wait, Ange. It said it was stripped out of the final bill. But we just read the final bill, and it's here. Was it stripped out of the bill going to the Senate? Because this is the bill that's on the website. More aggressive work requirements for Medicaid recipients. At last minute, Republicans revised their bill to expedite the timeline for imposing work requirements on Medicaid recipients. After initially including language triggering these requirements at the start of 2029, the bill moved up the date to the end of 2026. As a result, the GOP's stricter work requirements for federal health and food programs, an estimated 14 million people may lose their health coverage and 3 million households may go without food assistance. How does this party still exist? Who's voting for these people? Get a grip, y'all. This bill is going to be impossible to explain to MAGA. Yeah, you're probably right. Republicans originally used their bill to change the formula for calculating federal employees' earned benefits by basing it on the workers' 5 top years of earning versus 3 years under current law. But by the end, they kept the formula where it was Rep. Mike Turner who was among those who pushed back on this change, saying it wasn't fair to do this to current federal employees who have already been enduring chaos, stress, and fear of losing their jobs, thanks to the sloppy work of Elon Musk and his surrogates at the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Making changes to pensions and retirement benefits in the middle of someone's employment is wrong. Okay, so it looks like this provision was cut from the final bill. This is all the stuff that they tried to get in there. A random perk for Purple Heart recipients. If you're someone who received a Purple Heart during your military service and you're looking for more tax credits after your Social Security benefits were cut because you got a job, this bill has you covered. The GOP bill would increase the amount of your earned income tax credit by the sum of your Social Security disability insurance benefits terminated as a result of you getting a job. This seems like a good thing. Unless there's something hidden, this seems like a W. Okay. I need some more water, chat. Everyone make sure to stay hydrated in these trying times. Drinking tequila.
This is an island surrounded by water, big water.
Okay. What will the Senate do to the bill now? So the Senate wants actually more defense spending in the bill somehow. But they also want to add less to the deficit. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. All right, I think we're done talking about this bill. Dan, you look stressed. Dan, take some vitamins, LOL. Damn, do I look that bad? Okay. Regroup for a second.
Hi, been a while. Did John Deere really commit 20 billion back into USA? Vitamins as in gummies.
Oh, one of those.
You look great. No.
Our country is being destroyed by
At
stupid
Jag H,
people.
no, it's not. Take billions in
Thank you,
years to
Mana.
retrofit, and it goes to Trump's library. We need Beach Day, Dan. At Dakota Deer Farms NO. So part 1 of probably 10 done on the bill reading? Go hug a kitty, make you feel better. Where is Elon? He's hiding out. At Kaveen Bonnick Flintstones? At Griga, yes. I haven't watched your lives in a while. You're welcome. Elon really is Mia. You should get a new cat and name it Elon.
I should not do
Had a
that.
slight panic attack. Took a shot, then took a hit. I am back. Let's fist fight. Hi Dan and also water break. America's descent into fascism is wild. Don Malkai. W. Angela. Yo yo yo. We need some jumbo crayons to explain this to MAGA.
Yeah,
Trump
this is
wear
gonna be
diapers.
tough.
Our country is
Panhandle
being
_
destroyed
Mega
by
Nice, me
stupid
too.
people.
Thank you, Rose.
At the grocery store, prices still high. Trump gonna make me drop out of college with this bill.
You know about
Dan,
Mercedes?
you're the best hope.
I've been
always
following
lives.
some of that drama.
Do you know about Mercedes? I need my subscription back. The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously.
Obviously.
Angela asterisk. I don't think MAGA will care. Our PM spoke out against Israel 2 days ago. Way too late, but still proud of us. The cuts to healthcare are a straight up cull. Trump can go fly a kite. What happened to no tax on overtime? At the Dark Lord, tell me who you are. I promise to keep it between us. Trump wears diapers. I need my prescription back. Just Googled John Deere committed $20 billion in manufacturing over the next 10 years. At Jack H it has to be retrofitted. You realize that, right? Cost billions. At AA Ron. 8,647. At KM Rise and grind a big beautiful kite. Trump is bringing the end of times? At KM Rise and grind don't think Trump knows how to even hold a kite. Gotta love how quick Booker managed to blow the goodwill from his filibuster stunt.
Huh.
I'd bet money that Rumo has never flown a kite. He leads a sad life. Yay Dan's live. The text to voice is hilarious. Dan, you're awesome.
Thank
Dan
you.
for president. I just know Mercedes was never on our side and is still a MAGA Republican.
I mean, I expected.
Everything is computer.
Oh, hold
I
up.
love Tesla.
Hold up. We have a special
Do
guest
you
chat.
think buying Trump coin is a good thing?
Oh, where'd you go? Erica, what happened? Do you think buying Trump coin is a good thing? No. I asked Trump to solve my skid mark issue, but for me it doesn't help. I don't know what that means. Erica was requesting and now she's gone. So
Buy Dan coin instead.
all right, y'all.
No Trump coin, no direct access to Trump. Unknown currency. You're the best, Dan.
I think. Oh,
Uppies.
Gotta catch it quick.
hey, Erica.
Hey, how are you tonight?
Doing okay. We went through the big beautiful bill. It was not. It was big.
It
Not
was
beautiful.
big, but not beautiful.
No.
Matter of fact, it was nasty. I'm still working on my Trump impression.
Was that
I'm
it?
still working on it. Yeah, that was it. It was bad, wasn't it?
I didn't realize you were doing it.
So nasty, so nasty. I can't do Trump. I swear. No, I was just coming by to say hi. I thought I had a little bit more time, but the table is now ready, so we're gonna go do dinner now.
Oh gosh.
So I was
Well,
just coming to say hi.
yeah. I'm glad you dropped by. We yeah, took us about an hour and a half to go through the bill. But I hope you enjoy your dinner. Did
Thank
you
you.
want to tell chat what the dinner is celebrating?
Oh, yeah, Bubba is going to 6th grade, so no more elementary school. So yay.
Yay.
6th grade.
Let's get some
Yay,
W Bubbas in
Bubba.
chat.
Yes, W Bubbas. I'm coming.
All right,
I'm
Erica.
coming.
Thank you so
All
much.
right,
We won't
guys.
hold you any
Have a
longer.
great night. See you, Dan.
Bye. Enjoy your
Bye,
dinner.
Danimals.
Okay. Hey, but where does she live? 6 is considered elementary school. So I 6th grade for me was middle school. In New Jersey, 6th to 8th grade was middle school.
In Florida, Jersey, and NY, it's middle school. Maybe it's an Ohio thing. 6th is elementary in NY.
Oh, wait, Rose, comment so I
Rose
can
is
give you mod
powerless.
powers.
6th was elementary for me back then in NY. I did go to a school briefly where elementary went up to 6th. That's how it is most places. Middle school was 7th for me. Yeah, some places have K5 in middle school, others have K6 in junior high. Colorado, it's elementary. 6th is not elementary for me. 6th is element in VA. Junior high was 7 to 9 in Cali back in the 90s. My kids went to K through 8.
The Afrikaners are being persecuted? Wait, Chris. Are you talking about what Trump's saying, or so real quick, we were gonna announce it, and we're still going to make like a nice announcement at the Dandies, but I do want to welcome 2 new members of the mod team, which is Shauna and Rose. Welcome to Shauna and Rose. Thank you so much for helping out. As y'all know, these political lives are sometimes a cesspool in the chat, so we can use all the help we can get. Also, James, I know you are pretty much only a Discord mod, but I'm going to give you mod powers here too, just in case. You never know when you're going to need them.
Thank you for all the work, you mods. Hard hands, hard hands. You do. Facts. These MAGA are crazy.
Crazy.
W. James. Yay, new mods. W. Shauna.
Oh,
W.
someone asked me
Rose.
the name of the song.
Who is the music?
This is Make
W
Believe
mods.
by
At
CHYL.
Zola Shish. At Jamesh 2 Thiev haha. You got roped in. At Kevi Arzola, let's calm down lol. Hi Dan.
Hi, Nancy.
Thank you. At Louis? At Kevi Arzola, I don't know about that buddy.
Moxie, I think Louis is just mad. Who's your favorite Naruto character and why? Guy Sensei. Because...
Dark Lord, thank you, DL. At Neely Light Blue Heart LMAO, guess I'm finally truly one of y'all. As usual.
I don't know... What is my
Kakashi.
reason?
Guy Sensei is a crazy take.
Okay,
At Jamesh 2 Thiev, one of us. One of us. Love Guy Sensei. Dan's all about the eyebrows.
is it just vibes? Maybe.
Is it just vibes?
It's just, I'm
That's
always a
crazy
big
'cause my
fan
favorite
of...
is Kakashi Hitaki. It's literally not, he's the GOAT.
I'm always a big
Essentials is
fan
ready for you
of
guys. Dan.
characters that, like, succeed
My
despite
summer jam is KFC Santeria by King Kulto. Lil Marco Raid.
like, not having all the cool stuff.
Guy is the GOAT.
So, okay, how do I explain this?
At Caffeine and Tie.
How do I explain this? So, like, Guy doesn't have eyes that create fire or illusions, and Guy wasn't born with some magical bloodline that gives him regeneration. He just has hands, right? He just has hands. This is also why Kuwabara is my favorite character from Yu Yu Hakusho. Muggsy Bogue is my favorite character from the NBA. Like, I always like an underdog, you know? A more basic talent character that exceeds beyond others? Yeah. Dan, have you ever had GOAT? I don't think I've ever had GOAT. I wish they did more with Rock Lee. I wish they did too. Sorry to pause you on that one. It is a big item in Mexico. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had it.
At Eric Rodriguez 465, so good. This feels like Tesla music. At Please Cheese Me So You Understand Rock Lee, but not Guy, they're twins. Hey, so who is your favorite Pokemon?
Wait, they're not twins.
Basmati Rice or Jasmine Rice? At Let Love
Is
Live
it bad
High.
that I don't know the difference? Favorite Pokemon.
Sod, SOD. Basmati.
Probably.
Yes. At Chris G,
That
VC
question's so
plus
hard for
startups
me.
Basmati. Yes.
I guess it's probably
At
Annihilate,
Chris G, VC plus startups Jasmine.
but it could also be Golurk. And then do
At
we
Chris
include
G,
legendaries?
VC plus startups Jasmine Rice is amazing. At the Dark Lord W Basmati. Chris is gonna fight you. Jasmine Rice is just Basmati with Jasmine added.
Oh,
Charging.
then I guess Jasmine Rice.
Yellow Rice. At Chris G, VC plus startups hey you. How are y'all? At Sim White Hard Lol Guy talks and loses aura TBH. That's Cap lol. At Rogan Dag, I had a. At Epic Tickle yes. Dan, what's your take on Mimikyu? Didn't
I like
just
Mimikyu.
get so mad he died lol.
Oh,
At Let Love Live being black in you?
hold on. I have a response to Mimikyu. Didn't Annihilate just get so mad he died? Yeah, and mood. Okay, so I've had a rule for all Pokemon that I think every Pokemon falls in one of three categories. But it's possible that they overlap. They're like Venn diagrams. But I don't think any Pokemon doesn't fall into one of these three. Oh my god, wait. So in a Pokemon stream I used to mod for, we always nicknamed it Love Sock. Mimikyu? Okay, so category 1, cool Pokemon. Category 2, cute Pokemon. Category 3, ugly Pokemon. And so a couple days ago, Mac asked me if there was any Pokemon that hits all three of the categories. And I thought about it, and I think Mimikyu. I think Mimikyu hits all three. A lot of evolution lines go through all three. So, for example, we got Torchic is cute, Combuskin is ugly, and then Blaziken is cool. Ghastly. I don't think Ghastly's ugly, though. Ditto. Is Ditto really cool? Mewtwo is not cute. I love hearing you talk about Pokemon, though I know nothing about them. He's supposed to be scary. Could Missing No be the one that is none of the three? I mean, Missing No... I think Missing No is kind of cool. My favorite Pokemon is Grimer and Muck. I like Muck a lot, actually. More than I should, given that he's just a pile of sludge. What about Mew? Mew is not ugly. Mew is cute, and could probably be considered cool. Doug Trio? Is Doug Trio really all that cool? Or all that cute? Or all that ugly? I don't know. That one's tough. Togepi is cute. I like to say that Mimikyu is Missing No underneath the disguise. Combuskin sounds like the morning after a lot of Maker's Mark and Taco Bell. A touch of all three. Haven't you seen Downstairs Doug Trio? I have, unfortunately. Cubone thoughts? I love Cubone. No debate. No input from me. Yawn, see ya, and good night. All right. Good night, Rocky. Hi, DC. What's this song? This is Light Show by Thirst. Least favorite Pokemon? Okay, so for a while, my least favorite Pokemon was Quagsire. Because there was a glitch in the original Gold and Silver where sometimes if you saw a wild Quagsire, your game would crash. But I think my least favorite Pokemon now... Damn, I don't know. Dinner suggestions? Indian food. What's the cutest Pokemon in your eyes? Oof. I don't know if anyone's gonna beat Eevee. Eevee's pretty damn cute. Oh, my brother just texted me and said, fact checked myself. Basmati and Jasmine are different types of long grain. Please correct it for chat. I don't want to spread misinformation. Mr. Mime is creepy as fuck. Mime is creepy. Dude, are you ignoring my valid questions? Yeah, you're Kim Jong... Kim Jong-hung. Wait, I missed your question. Good night, Dan. Good night, everyone. Good night, Reagan. Dan, you think Wobbuffet is just the tail? I think there's a good argument for that. For sure. And that like the body is just the punching bag that sends back the damage.
Indian food is too far. Second suggestion? Chinese food. At Please Cheese Me, have you seen the promo in the Destined Rivals ETB of Wobbuffet? At Rose, he haunts me. At Sing White Hot
Yakisoba.
Taco Bell lol.
Japanese food. What set of Pokemon are undefeatable in a tournament? I don't know. Favorite 151? Ooh. Favorite of the original 151. Ooh, man, that's tough. Are we including legendaries? Because it's probably Mewtwo. I got my nephew's Pokemon keychains for Christmas, and I got one to send you. I hope you like them. Oh, thank you. Magikarp becomes Gyarados. Make this make sense. Oh, Magikarp becoming Gyarados is based on... it's based on a Japanese, like, fairy tale of, like, a fish that... Once it crosses over a waterfall, it transforms into a dragon. It's actually the same dragon that Kaido is based on in One Piece. Gyarados was my favorite Pokemon growing up. Was Gyarados. I remember they used to do Pokemon League at like my local Toys R Us. And it was just around the time that my brother got his like driver's permit. And I remember the first time we went, it was really fun for me because like it was the first time interacting with other people that like liked Pokemon, other than the few people at my school. And I remember they had these like little pads where like if you get a certain amount of points, they give you like gym badges or whatever. And I remember, this is such a vivid memory. I remember my brother writing down Gyarados because I didn't know how to spell it. Gyarados. He wrote down Gyarados on my little pad, and his handwriting's better than mine. Like I have such a vivid memory of that. And I don't know why. That night traumatized me. Oh, also that day, he clipped his the mirror of my dad's car, in a tight New Jersey street, and we never went to the Pokemon League at Toys R Us again because of that. Hey, Falcon. How does Kid Dan look? I think I showed live before. Toys R Us. When was that, Dan? When was that? Okay, so if my brother was getting his driver's license, or yeah, this would have been like 2010. Go again? He couldn't come. I'm meeting her tomorrow now. I mean, I would definitely be down, because Abigail Spanberger used to be a house rep. So I'd definitely be down to talk to her campaign team tonight. Okay. 2010 was 15 years ago. Wild. Yeah. Yeah. Check the math, Dan. Check the math. Wait, do you think that's wrong? Wait, no, chat. No. 2000. I was off by 10 years. It was 25 years ago. No, I'm ending the live. I need time to recover from this. I was 10 in the year 2000.
Same. I was 2 in 2000 lol. Hang it up UNC. I was the one driving. I was 4. Dan math equals mega math. I was -1. It says it went out of business in 2018. I don't even want to hear it. He was 10. I was 19. W Neely always. I wasn't born yet lol. I was not born. Not
Okay,
my subscription.
I got my emotional support almonds.
Nah, Dan, you don't look over 25. That's crazy. You got good genetics. I was 5 in 2000. I was 5. Chris, are you still here?
I was an egg.
Please cheese me diabolical. I was egg. I was 10 in 2000 as well. I experienced the existential dread every day. I was 16 and driving. My kids were in high school. Dan is closer to the Eisenhower administration than the Trump 2 administration.
Ban that man.
Dan, you and I are way too alike. I say as I eat my almonds. Emotional support almonds are a must. At Saintla_Vabra lol. Don't you dare say that lol. At Saintla_Va LMAOO. I was also 5. At Saintla_Va I feel personally attacked by that comment. Dan, did you see my Pokemon message?
I don't know. Where was it? It's okay. Time isn't real. Thank you. It makes me feel way better.
I put pics in Discord in general of new stuff. At Molly Facts. I was 2 in 2000, but I am just waking up from nap number 1, so I do not have context. TBH, everyone on TikTok who's older than 18 feels ancient. Dan is my favorite legendary Pokemon. Pistachios over almonds anytime.
In this
LMAO,
economy?
I was listening on YT and I finally realized there was a huge delay. I must have paused it. At Sweet Pea Facts. I used to love Toys R Us. At Saintla_Va same heart hands. That almond brand slaps, love the different flavors. So are we just vibes tonight?
So we went over the Republican tax bill that took us like an hour and a half, and then my brain couldn't continue. Also, yeah, Blue Diamond is way better than Emerald. I'll put that out now. I'm 27, and the teenagers on this app make me feel like I need to move into a retirement home. I have a video for you to play? Okay. Matthew, thank you for the $1 on PayPal. Thank you so much. I don't see a message, but Have you tried the wasabi flavor? I have. I like these more, but I have tried them. Oh wait, I do see a message. Almost missed my monthly donation for Dan to get a one key opens both doors tattoo. My daughter said it, so you're from the 90s. Okay.
We are taking donations for that? LFG.
We are not. We are not, actually. Just sending me
At
money.
Abby, the first time I tried M, I swear I experienced Nirvana briefly lol. At Lynn_Manuel_Mariah, my kids love to say that. Dan story times greater than.
Dan story time.
You have to stream it for us if you ever get a tattoo lol. At Ang, I second that. Endgame when the let us drop photos in chat.
I have a story. I have a story that I can tell like I have to tell a very, very abridged version of the story to not accidentally spill tea that is not mine to spill. But if y'all want a story time, I don't know, it just popped in my head. Red dress story time is the best one so far. Oh, I'm so upset I didn't download that VOD. And it's gone. Never beat that one? No, I don't think I'm beating that one. Okay. The year was... ...2008. Possibly 2009. And at the time, right? Y'all know that I'm a collectibles reseller. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on... Is Red Dress Bowling on? Yeah. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on Pokemon cards. At the time, I was focusing mostly on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. This was when I was doing it part-time because I was going to college. You need a rocking chair to tell story time. So, about once a month, I would travel to something called a Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series. Okay, these were like big tournaments, and still are. They still happen, by the way. Big tournaments that were held different states across the country. And what did you major in college? Business management. So this particular one was in Indianapolis. At the time, there seemed to be a very interesting phenomenon. Wasn't that why you went to Texas? Partially, yes. That's right. At the time, there seemed to be an interesting phenomenon where a lot of the winners of these Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship tournaments. Now, these are tournaments at the time had about 1,000 people. I think they're way more now, but like 1,000 people, right? A lot of the winners happened to be gay men. Like way beyond the whatever 10 to 20% of the population that would comprise, right? Now, I don't know if there's a correlation, if it's just a correlation, or if there is actually some kind of reason. Like maybe there's just more gay men that play Yu-Gi-Oh! That could be the case, I suppose. This is so stupid. I gotta remind you guys, this is 2008, okay? This is 2008. So, a couple of the biggest names in the game, right? Top 5 players were, well, one of them was notably gay, like he was openly gay, and another one was bi on the DL. Okay. And so a couple of my friends, because they wanted to do better at Yu-Gi-Oh, decided to pursue these gentlemen romantically. Now, at the time, this, by the way, is a lesson. There's a lesson at the end of this story. Buy on the DL is so me. There's a lesson at the end of the story. So, now to give you an idea of the age, these people are like, one of them I think is 17, and one of them, if I had my year correct, if this is in 2008, no, it might have been 2010. Okay, one of them I think is 18. Is this going to be a clip on? Yeah, you're getting danceled with this one. This is. I'm not even involved. I'm just telling the story. Yeah, so I think it's like 18 and 17, something like that. That's the age group here. So they go to this event, okay? They go to this event, all right? And let's just say both of them learned something that weekend. One of them learned that despite what some people in society tried to tell him, being gay is not a choice, and he did not enjoy what was happening. The other one learned that he was also bi on the DL, and they continued to date for a few months after. What was so interesting about it was when we all got back from Indianapolis, a lot of like the local community, local Yu-Gi-Oh community, would ask like, "Hey, how did Indy go?" And then everyone would look at each other and be like, "It was good." It was good. And it just became like a long-standing joke, like, "Hey guys, what happened at Indy?" And it's like nobody talks about Indy. Oh my god. Jen, are you aware your welcome message still has your old stream schedule in it? I was not aware. Thank you. I will change that for the next one. Thank you, Jay. What happens in Indy stays in Indy. Oh! And this is something, by the way, this was the first time in my life that I experienced like hatred towards the LGBTQ community. So I was walking with this group of friends, right? And the one that turned out, I guess, to be bi was holding hands with the other guy that was bi, and we were walking through the streets of Indianapolis. We were going to a restaurant to eat, and just two guys were walking past us in the other direction, and they just, as they passed us, like under their breath, one of them said the F slur. And what was I? I was like 18, 19, I think. It was the first time I experienced openly towards me, because I guess, I mean, I probably at the time hadn't interacted with that many people in that community in the first place. Indiana, that makes sense. Yeah. And I remember the one dude that my friend was courting turned around and said, "You want to say that to our face?" And they did not. So that was nice that he pushed back on that. But again, the year was it was either 2008, 2009, or 2010, around that time. But I remember that. I vividly remember that moment. And it was What is this? The 1800s? Listen, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what the verbiage is. So yeah, that's story time is making me nervous. I chose Hawaiian instead of Japanese. Good choice. So anyway, I don't remember any other details about that weekend that I can reveal. Hey, Sailor. I'm Jonah. Listen, he might be. He might be. Because the story's entertaining. But I don't know. I don't know what my implication in that story even is. I was just a part of the ride. I was just along for the ride. Story time on how you got your cats. Well, it's not really a great story on Puffy, but for Lyndon, it was like two nights before Hurricane Ian was gonna make landfall, and I was taking out my garbage. It was like 1 a.m. and Lyndon walks up to me like he's known me all his life, and he was super friendly, and I felt bad because the hurricane, so I took him in like in the garage until the hurricane passed, and then I let him back outside, and then he kept coming around my house, and I would go on walks with him, and I started feeding him, and you ended on a lesson and some insight. I think it's okay for TikTok. Yeah, listen, if I can't tell my own life stories, then I don't know what we're doing here. Dang, were you okay during Hurricane Ian? Didn't know you got affected? No, I turned out okay in Ian. The one that affected me was Milton. Hello, human, you are mine now. Yeah, but actually, so at the time, I wasn't planning on taking him in. I was just like, he was just an outside cat, and I fed him, and I hung out with him, and I took walks with him. Like, he would just follow me. We would walk around the block. It was really cute. But it wasn't until one day he came to my back door, like he had started doing, and I put out the food. But instead of, hey Sage, instead of just like annihilating it like he usually would, he just laid down next to it, and I knew something was wrong. So at the time, I thought that he was like overheated or something. It's Florida. It was the summer. So I just took him in to cool off. I gave him some cold water and started to like, I put a little, I wet a towel and like put it on his forehead and stuff like that. But he wasn't changing. His attitude was so off. And then I started noticing like it's almost like he was straining. And eventually I decided to take him to the vet. What I found out was that he had a blocked bladder, and had I waited like 2 or 3 hours, he would have died, because it was once they analyzed like his urine, it had apparently been blocked for a while. So it was actually a really, really hard night for me, because they tried to unblock his bladder and were unable to. And it wasn't until, and basically like the lady that called me was like, yeah, we're essentially gonna have to put him down. And I was ugly crying. The next morning, the guy, the vet who owned like the clinic was able to block the bladder. Or unblock the bladder, excuse me. He was able to catheterize him. What is this, dubstep? Hold on. So, when I went in after like he was gonna stay for a few more days. They were giving him fluids and stuff, but they told me there were 3 reasons that cats get blocked bladders: either stones, crystals, or miscellaneous. And okay, this music is not fitting the vibe of the story, bruv. And it turns out it was miscellaneous. It was not stones. They didn't find any stones or crystals. It was just there seemed to be some kind of like tissue. I don't know if it was scar tissue or what in his urethra. But long story short, we had to schedule a PU surgery, which is a perineal urethrostomy. Long story short, they cut his penis off. Now you might be thinking, "Oh my god, that's horrible," but like cat penises are like, they're like almost nothing. It's like this tiny little tic tac of a thing. And I didn't know this. This is the second most common surgery in male cats. I've done so many of those. It's so common. Yeah, people don't know how common this is. It's actually very common. And I bet the cat disagrees. I mean, Dan, I'm in Orlando. Oh yeah, that's not too far from me. A couple hours. And so while we were waiting for the surgery, he actually reblocked, and I had to take him to the emergency, or not the emergency. Yeah, the vet emergency room to get him unblocked again. But after the surgery, he is now great. Took a few months of him not really able to control his bladder and whatnot, and the house smelled not great. But now he's perfect. He's very happy, healthy, and I think Lyndon appreciates the tiny comment. Lyndon, come here. Can I sign up my ex for this very common surgery? Never thought I'd learn about cats' privates. How's Walker? Walker's fine. He still comes every night. But yeah, and then I just I thought about letting him back outside like he used to be, but I kept worrying about him, and so I made him an inside cat, and that's where we are now. Hey, welcome up.
Well, it's been a long time. Okay, frankly, it's been 68 days. I've counted. Okay, I've counted the days. I've been scheming a lot of things. Okay, I have to keep it short because I know we're talking about the cat's penises. Okay, and I know a lot about cat penises. Okay, better than anybody else. Let me tell you something. Oh well, let me tell you. We've been doing a lot of things. Okay, we just recently turned the no more French kisses. We have no more French kisses. It's now the kiss of America. Okay, it's tremendous. More French kisses. We have to we have to do that. We have to. We've been doing so many things. The tariffs. Okay, the economy is booming. Okay, booming like Boss Baby is booming. Okay, we're doing so many things. Okay, look, I had to say one thing. Okay, you have to join Dan's Discord. Okay, God bless you. Thank you so much, and make America great again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Remind me, I got my Gulf of Mexico shirt today. All right, y'all. I know it's a little bit early. But I think it might be time. The light out. Dan, I haven't showered in so long, but your good energy has me preparing a full-blown bubble bath. Aw. I'm happy to help with your hygiene. And debate me on Trump. All right.
Hey, yo, what's good,
Hi.
bro?
What's up?
I love how you sighed before you accepted me. So you hate Trump, huh?
Hate's a strong word. I
Do you
really
like
hate
him?
Trump.
Oh shit. Why is that?
Because he's like a horrible, self-centered person that only worries about his image and doesn't care about violating human rights.
All right, so I'm gonna just like
Brother, this guy stinks!
Thank you, Chris.
I'm gonna just say like flat out, Trump's the GOAT.
Well, I'm glad you said
He's
it
the
flat
GOAT.
out. Good.
Straight up, he's the GOAT. Nothing more to it. So I'll be happy to debate you on whatever liberal propaganda perpetrated your brain, but he's the GOAT.
Why do you
Wish
think
heck
so?
I- Well, I'm an Arab American and I'm saying this, so people like the main points people say about him, like he's racist, he's like foreign policy bad, economics bad. It's just bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. All the media is against him.
I'm gonna ask the question again. Why do you think he's the GOAT?
Economics, foreign policy, moral beliefs, two
Okay.
genders.
Let's start with
all this shit.
economics.
Okay.
What has he done for you economically?
He made me money, man.
You be a little bit more specific. How did he make you money?
The economy.
How
I
old are
know
you?
the stocks went down. I know the stocks went down,
How old are you?
but I'm 19. How old are you?
I'm 34.
It's fire.
Wallahi, you don't know what you're talking about. All right. Thanks, Chris. Anyway, sorry. I know licking my fingers is rude, but if y'all haven't had these, we are not sponsored by Blue Diamond Almonds, but Blue Diamond Smokehouse, oh my goodness. We're not sponsored yet. Okay. Tomorrow, we're gonna be doing debates. Tomorrow's Friday. Saturday, we should be we will if it all goes according to plan, we will have a collaboration that we have never had before. Look forward to that. But yeah, and then we are also going to be live Sunday this week as we've changed the schedule to Thursday to Sunday. Dan, are you leaving us? Yeah. Is it MAGA and brain cells? No, Dan, before you go, can you give us some of your natural born wisdom as a good night message? My natural born wisdom. Okay. I got you. Here's my wisdom for tonight. Remember that the internet and the real
Country is
world.
being destroyed by stupid people.
Thank you, Rose. The internet and the real world are actually very different places. And make sure to take some time to ground yourself by interacting with the real world. Roast Keefe said it in another way, but yes. it's easy to fall into a cycle of constantly paying attention to social media, of focusing mostly on what's on your phone, but usually these aren't the things that are that bring fulfillment in life. And also, it can warp your mind to believe things that are not reality, because the goal of an algorithm is to keep you on the site, versus reality has no goal. It's up to you what your goal in reality is. Is that good? That was off the cuff. I can use some mind warping these days. All right, y'all. I appreciate it so much, Dan. Have a great night, and I'll catch you on your. Thank you so much.
I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.
Clutch, thank you. Very inspirational, you rock. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Why can't I follow people? I mean, there's like stalking laws, I think. Any wisdoms?
Come on, man.
Thank you, Clutch, for the hat and mustache. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna have some dinner. I don't know what I'm gonna eat yet, but we'll figure that out. I hope you all have a great night. Make sure to stay hydrated. Thank you, Rose. I don't know how to end these lives, chat. I got to figure out like a sign off. You know, like a sign off I do every time. Like in Truman Show, where he said like, and if I don't see you, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, like that. Y'all ever see the Truman Show? Good movie. Good movie. Another thing I was thinking of was like go through like the goodbyes, right? Like the stuff I just said, you know, everyone stay hydrated, make sure you have a good night. But then like as I'm yapping, just ending the live, right? Like a Sopranos ending. I feel like it's like a semi-Irish goodbye. Because I said I'm leaving, but I'm not leaving on an end note. I'm leaving mid-sentence. Just tell us to touch grass.